Hello guys, today in this video I'll be talking about who should you pull in the version 5.3 of Genshin Impact. So in the version of 5.3 we're getting 4 new characters. We're getting Mauvika, we're getting Citlali, we're getting Arlechinno and Clorinde. Okay. So first of all we're going to talk about who should you pull between. We're going to talk about the same element which is going to be Mauvika and Arlechinno. Alright, we're going to talk about pros and cons. Whether you should pull for Mauvika, whether you should go for Arlechinno. Who is better for your account? I'll be talking about that. And also I'll be talking about support character Citlali and electro DPS character Clorinde. Okay. So if you're new to the channel and you just found me, do make sure to hit the bell button and subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. So first of all, we're getting our Pyro Archon character Mauvika. Mauvika is the Archon herself, and she's a very unique character than any other character in Genshin Impact. She has a mechanic in her kit where she does not need energy recharge. She needs Night Soul points, which is basically Night Soul points can be obtained if you're using a Natlan character, or if you're not using a Natlan character, or you just do normal attacks, you can get Night Soul point. But with Natlan character, it's much more faster, much more easier, and the rotations are much more smoother. The gameplay experience playing Mauvika with Natlan characters are much more better. Mauvika is an insane Pyro DPS character. Her on-field Pyro application is really good, and she can be played in two types of playstyle. You can either play her as a DPS, which is mainly a lot of people are going to play as a DPS. Second thing is you can also run her with the Kinich. If you have Kinich, you have Molani, or you have Chaska, you can run her as a sub DPS with those characters. All right. So Mauvika, to utilize the full potential of Mauvika, most people are going to play her as a DPS. So she's an on-field DPS character. Okay, she can be. There's an option. She can be played as a sub DPS. This is an option, by the way, just in case. But to get the most out of Mauvika, you need to play her as a DPS. And Mauvika team composition is very limited. So for free-to-play players who don't have Natlan characters, who don't have Zilolen, who don't have any other character, which is the main important thing with Mauvika is if you don't have Zilolen, you need to skip this character. There is no point getting Mauvika. If you're free to play and you have to choose between Mauvika and Arlechinno, I would suggest go for Arlechinno if you don't have Zilolen. If you don't have any Natlan character, there is no point whatsoever to go for Mauvika. And if you're going for Mauvika, you are either stupid, you are either fool, and just quit Genshin. Stop playing Genshin. Alright? Plain and simple. Quit the game. If you don't have Zilolen, skip Mauvika. And if anyone, regardless of knowing, pulls that and does that stupid move, that's on you. But anyways, live with the cope. But let me so plain and simple is if you don't have Zilolen, if you don't have any Natlan characters, Mauvika is a must skip. She's not worth pulling for. If you have Zilolen, you can easily go for Mauvika. Now her damage is quite amazing, especially with Vaporized Team, with Furina and with Zilolen, her damage is quite insane. But with Melt, especially with Melt, also her damage is also going to be really good, really good. So her DPS wise is going to be insane, okay? But to utilize the most out of it, you need Natlan character. Don't have it, just don't waste time and wait for a rerun. By that time, Zilolen will get rerun, all right? Now we're going to talk about Arlechinno. Arlechinno is with Arlechinno, I mean, there's nothing much to say. Arlechinno is the best Pyro DPS right now in the game. She's right now at the top tier, probably at the top on par with Nuvolent. So Arlechinno, hands down, Arlechinno is the most insane. If you want to get the raw damage, if you want to get the maximum amount of damage, you go with Arlechinno. Simple as that. And with Arlechinno is that her constellations are really amazing, especially her C1, which gives resistance interruption. So you can basically remove Shielder. If there's a lot of pros playing with Arlechinno. Is Arlechinno with Arlechinno, if you go for Arlechinno as a free to play or any other if you're new to the game, going for Arlechinno is much more wiser than pulling for Mauvika. Now here is my this is my advice. This is my advice, and I highly recommend listen to this very carefully. With Mauvika, you have a very limited amount of team comps. Outside Natlan characters, there's not much you can do. Because if you don't have Natlan characters, Mauvika, you're not going to get a lot of amount of damage with Mauvika. You're not going to get a Night Soul point. You're not going to get the damage that you are meant to get. So if you have no Natlan characters, there's no point in Mauvika. Mauvika's has a lot of flaws outside Natlan team. So pulling for Mauvika if you don't have any Natlan characters, and if you think you can just work her with a 4-star character, Kachina or Oronon, let me tell you, you are in a big mistake. You are not going to get that damage. Without Zilonen, you're not going to get that. She synergizes really well with Zilonen and with Furina. So if you think that running with 4-star, I'm going to get that damage, no, you're not going to get that. So when it comes to Arlechinno, hands down, she has a very free to play. You can run her with any teams. She's very versatile and has a lot of different team comps. Very free to play friendly. You can you don't need to pull her signature weapon. If you have the Shao's weapon, you can use her on her. You can use Staff of Homa. You can use Battle Pass Pole Arm. You can and you can even use White Castle. So she's very free to play friendly. So in my opinion, if you don't have a Zilonen, pulling for Mauvika is not going to be a good move. If you don't have Zilonen, I would say just go all in for C1 Arlechinno. If you have enough pulls, go for C1 Arlechinno. Don't go for the weapon unless you really want that weapon for just for the looks. Yeah, then you can go for it. But going for C1 Arlechinno, at least I feel that it's going to be worth the investment. So depending on whether you have Natlan characters, if you have Natlan characters, you can go for Mauvika. You're going to get the most out of it. If you don't have, if you have Zilonen, straightforward, just go for Mauvika. Go for Mauvika, you're going to get the best damage. All right. And when it comes to Arlechinno, if you don't have Natlan characters, just go for Arlechinno. Straight and simple. Straight and simple. Just go for Arlechinno. There's no doubt about that. You can wait for Mauvika rerun, and by that time Mauvika rerun comes, most likely you can get Zilonen, and after that you can get Mauvika. So Arlechinno is not going to get rerun anytime soon, so just keep that in mind. Now we're going to talk about Clorinde. Clorinde is going to get rerun. I feel like Clorinde is one of the best electro DPS after Raiden Shogun. Clorinde, you can use her with Furinas, with Nahida, with Yalan. Like she's really insane. So I feel Clorinde is worth pulling for if you don't have any electro DPS other than Kaching, or if you have Raiden Shogun, you can still go for. I feel you can still go for Clorinde because Clorinde is such an amazing character. Most of her damage comes from her elemental skill, and she's very fun to use. Her mechanic is most likely very similar to Arlechinno, where she has a Bond of Life mechanic where she can heal herself. So she doesn't need healing, and that makes her a very unique character. She does a ton of amount of damage. She's very free to play friendly. You don't need to pull for a signature weapon. And Clorinde getting Clorinde is very fun. Her elemental skill cooldown is very low. Ultimate does a shit ton of amount of damage. You can craft a Fontaine craftable weapon for her, which in the passive gives you Bond of Life effect. So I would say go for Clorinde. If you don't have Raiden Shogun, if you don't have any electro character in the team, then I would say going for Clorinde would be a wiser choice. If you have to choose between Clorinde and Citlali, I would say going for Clorinde would be much better. Now, Citlali, with the thing with Citlali is that Citlali gives you pyro resistance and hydro resistance. Citlali is going to be a support character. She's a very good character, and I think she's a great support character. Her shielding capacity is not that great like compared to Layla and Zhongli, but her supports and buffs are really insane because she gives pyro resistance and hydro resistance. So you can get a shit ton of amount of damage with Nuvolette, with any other hydro DPS, especially with Nuvolette and especially with Mauvika, or you can run her with Arlechinno as well. So Citlali, only pull her if you want to. Citlali is not needed on the account unless you want to do some melt damage with Mauvika. And I don't think Citlali is worth pulling for unless you really like the character, you know. But with Citlali is that she's going to be very clunky because you're not going to get. Her shield is not strong. But the other thing that she has is she gives a lot of insane amount of buffs that not many other characters can give. So I would say pyro resistance and hydro resistance, that buff is really good. So if you really want to get that buff, you can pull for this character, or if you don't have this character, it's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, so pulling Citlali is not necessary unless you really like the character. And if you really care about the pyro resistance and hydro resistance buff, then you can go for this character. Unless I don't see the value of this character. I feel like if you have to choose between Clorinde and Citlali, I would say go for Clorinde. Going for Clorinde is much more valuable because it depends on your account unless you don't have electro DPS. And if you really have electro DPS, then you don't need to pull for Clorinde, but you can still go pull for Clorinde because she's just amazing. All right, she's amazing. Having 2 electro DPS on the account is, you know, you just have the options to like play with anyone you like, you know. So you're going to have a lot of fun. But Citlali, I think Citlali, it's only if you like the character, if you really care for what she does with her buff, then go for it. All right. Otherwise, I don't see the value. But yeah, with the value, one other value that with Citlali is that if you really care about taking Mauvika to the next level, then I would say going for this thing with that the benefit that you're gonna have pulling for Citlali is you can run her with Mauvika team if you want to get the maximum amount of damage. If you want to take Mauvika to another level, to the higher being level, then you have to pull for Citlali. The thing with that Citlali is that she's going to be very limited with most of the teams. So either you can run her with Pyro team and Hydro team, because she does give resistance to those two elements. Other than outside of that two elements, she won't be that of a use. So keep that in mind. So keep that in mind, okay? So that's where her value shines in Pyro and Hydro team. Other than that, she's pretty much not very valuable. So she's not really needed on the account. But if you really like Mauvika, which most of people do, and if you really care for the damage to take the new potential, if you have Zilolan, if you're getting Mauvika, and if you want Citlali just to make your Mauvika better, then I would say going for C1 Mauvika is wiser than going for Citlali, because C1 Mauvika you get Night Soul points. So in my opinion, Citlali pull if you need to, if you really like the buff. Otherwise, then it's not really needed. So that will be for my video. That will be yeah. So good luck on the pulls for the version 5.3, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.